This episode is brought to you by Anchor.fm. If you haven't heard of Anchor, you should definitely check them out. It's a super easy tool that anyone can use to create and distribute their podcast. It has everything you need, and you can do it all from your computer or even your phone. Need your podcast cover art? There's a tool. Music and sound effects? They have you covered. Want to record on the fly? It's easy with the app. Now you may be saying to yourself, I already have a podcast. No worries, just create your account, upload, and publish to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. Looking for some walking around money? Anchor connects you with advertisers who match your brand. It's a one-stop shop for all of your podcasting needs. Download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor.fm to get started.
Hi, welcome to BizQuik. I'm Julie.
And I'm Corey.
And on this special edition of our podcast, we have AJ McLean. Yes, that AJ McLean. The one from the Backstreet Boys, Dancing with the Stars, and now Ava Dean Beauty. We also have his business partner, Josh Naranjo. Josh is currently riding in a car, though, so he's probably not going to say too much. Welcome, Josh and AJ.
That's right. You're listening to BizQuik. This is where Julie and Corey provide quick and useful information to small business owners. BizQuik is the podcast where small business owners get to showcase their businesses and receive expert advice and guidance in areas many entrepreneurs struggle with. And you, the listener, get solutions, tips, and tricks on real-world topics that many small business owners face. Julie and Corey are the experts small businesses hire when they need solutions. And the BizQuik podcast is just one way they deliver those solutions. Let's start the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for being here. This is exciting. How is everybody doing today?
Tired as usual, but I'll sleep when I'm dead. The schedule now for Dancing with the Stars is getting a little bit crazier. We're at week 6 now out of 11. So, now, as Derek said on Monday, now the real competition starts. So now we start to separate the men from the boys, the girls from the women, and may the best man or woman win.
Yes. Well, you guys are, you're killing it on there. Got some sweet, sweet dance moves, AJ. Sweet dance.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's funny because we've chatted, before this and talked to Josh and all that. I'm really curious about what the behind the scenes of that show is. I know there's the dance practice and all that, but it's clearly a full-time job and then some.
Yeah. I mean, going into this, I really had zero expectations. I didn't really know what the schedule was really going to entail. I did reach out to my bandmate, Nick, who did the show 5 years ago. And just to kind of get some insight, kind of a brotherly, what's up, what's going to happen, what should I be prepared for? And, every season's different from what I've been told from some of the other pros, as well as my partner, Cheryl. And obviously now, because of the pandemic, things are very different. We have no live studio audience. We do COVID testing 5 days a week. And everybody has to wear masks. Everybody has to social distance. They are very strict at the CBS lot where we shoot. Nobody can really hang out together, unfortunately, even with our masks on. The only time that we all really kind of congregate together is on the ballroom floor during camera blocking and dress rehearsal. But even then we have to wear masks, and even then we have to be spaced apart. They're doing 8 feet apart as opposed to 6 feet apart. But everybody's got a really, really good routine going on. ABC has done their due diligence, and they're really on top of things, which makes it for a very safe environment. It's been a very interesting process. There's a lot that goes on in between rehearsals. There's interviews, there's social media stuff, there's wardrobe fittings, there's camera blocking, there's dress rehearsal. It's pretty much, like you said, it's a full-time job. My wife said to me just this past week that she missed me. Not that she doesn't normally miss me, but 11 months ago, she may not have said that, but I've been sober now for over 10 months. Things are amazing in my life. the desire and the craving for drugs and alcohol is no longer apparent in my life, and I hope to keep it that way. So our relationship has gotten stronger. My relationship with my kids has gotten stronger. And so everybody here misses me, because it's like I'm on tour, except I'm home. And by the time I come home from rehearsal, everybody's already asleep. So I kind of come home to pretty much a quiet, empty house feeling, and then try to get up in the morning to say goodbye to my daughter before she goes to school. But yeah, that's even tough now. I mean, I tried to sleep in today, but I'm a man of my word. I told my wife last night that I would take my daughter to school this morning. So I got about 3.5 hours sleep. So as soon as we're done with this podcast today, I'm going to be taking a nap for an undisclosed amount of time until I have to leave to go to dance rehearsal.
Well, first, congratulations on that 10 months of being clean and sober. That's a huge accomplishment, and I'm sure that has to feel just amazing for you. So,
It does.
That's great. There is a lot of correlation between the schedule and the amount of work that you have to do on Dancing with the Stars and what Josh has been doing and what you're going to be doing with Ava Dean, right? With getting that business off the ground. Is there anything you can relate from when you were, touring heavily with the band to the process that you've noticed that you're going to have to do for launching Ava Dean?
Well, yeah, I mean, building any kind of brand is obviously, it's a very grueling process. It's basically starting from the ground up. When we started 27 years ago, as we would say, we were paying our dues, singing at the opening of a pet store, singing at an airplane, singing, wherever we could, just to be seen and to be heard. And, all these building blocks to build a foundation. And then once we got signed to a major, then everything kind of picked up. But it's still a very well-oiled machine. And, Josh and I have been literally working on Ava Dean for 5 years now. It's been a very long time. And we are over the moon that we are pretty much right there at the precipice, about to finally launch. I know this is not really the best thing to compare it to, but it's like the day my daughter was born. It's like, it's finally here, your baby's finally going to be here. And it's super exciting. There's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of phone calls, meetings, color samples, bottle samples, every little detail down to, where we are now, which is, like I said, we're pretty much ready to launch. And, it's just, and, even after that happens, I'm sure Josh and I both know that, it's not just going to go straight to the freaking moon and back. It's still going to be a lot of work, because you are building a brand. And, even after we got signed to a major record label, the workload became even more, because, at that point you're trying to maintain your credibility. You're trying to maintain your success. You're trying to maintain your career to have longevity. So I know that that's going to be something that we're going to have to do. We're not just going to launch and then sit back and just hope and cross our fingers. We're going to have to get our feet wet and our hands dirty and really, needle to the grindstone. And even after there is success with Ava Dean, you still have to keep putting in the work. It's never going to stop, unless you want to stop the business. And then, if the 5 of us decided that we don't want to sing anymore, then, there goes the business. Same thing with Josh and I. If we just toss it up in the air and just keep our fingers crossed and hope for the best, it's a gamble. But we definitely want this to be around for years and years and years to come. So.
And you bring up a really good point there. And it's a lot of, it's one of those things that we all feel like any project, whether it's, opening a business or, painting your house, whatever it is, you get to the end and you say, okay, all I got to do is just get to the end, you see that finish line, and you never think about, or you rarely think about all of the work that goes in. after the fact to maintain that.
Yep.
And it's something funny that, I mean, I think that we all do, because you see that finish line and you're just like, oh, okay, now I can take a breath. Nope. You got to keep running. But I want to backtrack just a bit, because some of the people listening might not be familiar with what Ava Dean is or how we got to bottles and paint colors.
Yes. So Ava Dean was kind of the birth child of my daddy-daughter dates that I used to take with, or I still do, but it's been a little hard now with the pandemic. But my oldest daughter, Ava, and I, once a week or once every 2 weeks, as our daddy-daughter date, we would go to the nail salon and get our nails done. This is the longest I've been without nail polish since I started the season of Dancing with the Stars. For a very good reason, by the way. You know, if I had polish on my fingers, the judges would be really paying attention to my hand movements. So I'm trying to not give them any other reasons to score me under what I've been scored so far. But it became a thing for my daughter and I. And, Josh and I started having talks about this while we were on tour. And, obviously our demographic is a huge female population, since day one. And this just seemed like a natural fit as far as going into the beauty market. My wife's a hairstylist and a special effects makeup artist. And the dream down the road, obviously, is to expand Ava Dean Beauty into cosmetics. But for now, starting with nail polish is kind of at the epicenter. And again, I've been wearing nail polish for like the last, almost 20 years. It's just been part of my thing. A lot of people associate that with me. And then now being a father, having 2 girls, I live in a house full of women. So there's lots of nail polish going on constantly. Now I do my daughter's nail, both my daughter's nails, at least once a week. We have a little sit down sesh and we have our snacks and we do our nails. And, I just feel like this is a natural progression outside of music, outside of, anything else that I do. Josh and I are really, really passionate about this. And we've been, like I said, talking about it and building it for the last 5 years. So again, this is just the beginning of Ava Dean Beauty. I think there is so much more on the horizon, but this is a great starting point.
And it's a great origin story. Forever, that origin story alone will sell bottles of nail polish, because it's something that people can get emotionally invested in. They feel happy when they hear it, and it's just a really, really touching moment. And there's also that opportunity to expand the scope into other dads and daughters doing that. And what a great moment that is.
Absolutely. And you know what else is interesting is, which I didn't know, and I believe Josh was the one that told me this, and I don't even think Josh knew until he did some research, which is Major League Baseball. There's a lot of nail polish going on, mainly the catcher. The catcher has different colors on his nails to signal the pitcher that no one else can see. So it's really interesting to think that in professional sports, there's quite a lot of nail polish. The first time we ever met Shaquille O'Neal, he paints his toenails red for good luck. He's done that since he left college and played in the NBA. I don't know if he still does it because he's not playing anymore, but it's just like Jordan. Jordan used to wear his Carolina, shorts underneath his Bulls shorts. Everyone's got their thing.
I did not know either one of those things. That's fascinating.
I didn't know that either. Wow.
Fun facts today by yours truly.
We wanted to take a quick break to tell you more about SB Pace, the small business consulting company that makes this podcast possible. SB Pace, which stands for Small Business Planning, Advising, Coaching, Expertise, focuses solely on helping small businesses and entrepreneurs. Are you looking to start a small business of your own? SB Pace can get you up and running with a solid foundation that's built to last. Are you an existing small business in a slump or just looking for ways to improve what you do? We can help with that. Are you ready to take your business to the next level? SB Pace is the partner you need. You can find out more about SB Pace and what we have to offer by visiting our website, sbpace.com.
How are you leveraging any of the skills that you had from being in the band to now running this business, launching this business?
Well, back in the beginning of our career, we obviously, and we still have a great management team with Patriot Management, but our thing now, is that we've all become businessmen. We all know that what we do is a business, and we wanted to become more hands-on as businessmen to run the Backstreet Boys kind of empire, and not just be singers and dancers. One of the greatest bits of advice we ever got was from one of the original Temptations, still living members, telling us after we did a show together that this is show business. And while you're on stage doing your show, that your business could be walking out the back door without you and without, paying you and without this, that, and the other. And ever since then, it really kind of struck a nerve with us to really be more heavily involved with our business. So, Josh is definitely good with numbers. I, unfortunately, am not. I sucked in math. But from a creative standpoint, visually, I think that's what's a really good balance between Josh and I is Josh is very, very business sound. And I am on the creative side of things. So that merger of those two minds is what's really helped build this, brand up to this point. And, moving forward, when it comes to marketing campaigns and all these things, I know I will definitely be very much involved, as will Josh. But being able to know that we are in complete control of our own business, we're kind of leaning on each other, just like myself and my bandmates do. We all have to rely on each other. And that's what's key in big business is these corporations all have people that they have to lean on. Your CFO, your CEO, your chief, chief of staff, whoever it is, there's people that come down the line, and it's a well-oiled machine as well as it's a really good team. It's never just one person. It's never just one wizard behind the curtain running everything. There's always a team. And I'm sure as Ava Dean builds, we will end up having a full team running operations and doing all these things. But for now, I mean, I'll never forget being in Las Vegas during our Vegas residency. Josh and I were staying at one of our Airbnb rentals, and Josh comes out with like different colors on every nail. And then we're like looking at all the colors, and I'm like, please make sure you wear that to the show tomorrow, because it's freaking amazing. And like us putting the actual colors in the bottles and seeing how it looks and just really being very hands-on with this whole thing, So
that I'm so glad you said that about the team and the importance of that, and being able to have sort of that, reciprocal and complementary relationships, right? Because AJ, I'm with you. I suck at the math. Like, that is not my skill, and Corey won't let me anywhere near the numbers. But the operations and that front end stuff, I'm all over it, and strategically planning things. So it's really important to be working with people who can complement where you have weaknesses, and you can complement theirs, and that's great. I love that story that about the Temptations and the business. That's really, really sound advice. And I think it's going to change forever the way that I hear that sentence or that phrase, that's show business, right? Because it is a business. It's very true. Very true.
Completely.
And that's, one of the things I was going to talk about or get into is the treating it like a business, because singing, dancing, entertaining, that's your passion. And then at some point it turned into your business. And, obviously now you're looking at setting up something that's going to last for your daughters, your family, et cetera. And you want to diversify. What do you see though, as your biggest hurdle for getting this thing off the ground?
I think it's going to boil down to marketing. I think the marketing campaign has to be key. Getting the visuals out there, the social media side of things, now in this day and age, everything is all influencer based. So I think we should capitalize on using that outlet as fuel for a great marketing campaign. Doing in-store appearances is something Josh and I have talked about for me doing. Maybe going into a beauty supply factory and, meeting everyone that does all of the distribution and maybe doing a little impromptu concert, whatever it is, going to some of the massive beauty conventions, maybe even performing. But I really feel nowadays it is through social media. It's, everybody wants a quick fix. They want something instant. They want to know what it is. They want to know what it's about immediately. Doing print is not as usable as it used to be. Before there was the internet, everybody had to go buy People magazine. They had to go buy Us Weekly to see what's going on, and or go buy a tech magazine to see what the latest tech is. But now everything is done instantly. So I think if we can really acquire a great team as far as the digital marketing side of things, I think that's what's going to get Ava Dean out there to the masses instantly.
That social media aspect is so important. You're right. Influencers play a large part in what happens today with brands. You certainly have some distinct advantages, right? And being able to leverage the Backstreet Boys, you are a brand. You're a very well established brand. You're on Dancing with the Stars, where you can leverage that. So I think if I'm not mistaken, you're looking at a launch date that is right around Valentine's Day. Is that correct?
That is correct. Something else that I thought would be very interesting is to do a campaign through social media, having fathers of daughters. Basically, we would send a sample box with maybe one or two colors, and they post their videos of dads doing their daughter's nails, very similar to how this whole thing started with me and my oldest daughter. And even reaching out to a lot of my musician friends. There's a lot of rock guys that have daughters. My buddy Dave Grohl, he's got daughters. Having him paint his daughter's nails, like things like that, you really do cover a lot more ground, and you get a lot more respect from, not just the female community, but the male community as well. There are plenty of guys out there, straight men, gay women, straight women, all races. Everybody, I'm pretty sure, is comfortable wearing nail polish. Most people are, so kind of attacking it from every single angle.
And I think that, the father-daughter part is such an important piece of this, because I think that especially, with social media, with devices and screens and all of that, people have a hard time connecting with their kids to begin with. And then, you take that father-daughter element. I think that's such a great way to really kind of, break down the barriers or just create a way for them to connect. So, yep. Yeah, I like that approach.
AJ, is there anything about launching this new business that makes you nervous?
The first thing I would say is obviously the beauty market is almost as competitive as the music market. There's a lot of competition out there. Obviously you've got the massive brands like OPI and L'Oreal, Maybelline, and then you have the high-end brands, the Chanels and the Pradas and this, that, and the other. But I think what's going to set us apart is obviously the origin story, the color palette, the price point. These are all key things that are going to really separate us from the big dogs and the kind of lower end scale. I think we fit somewhere right in the middle. Obviously, the goal is to be up there with the OPIs at some point and the L'Oreals and the, Chanels, but we're not going to charge $55 a bottle, right out the gate. That's a little bit extreme. But again, it's all healthy competition. And, at some point, I'd be surprised if the heads at Chanel and the heads at Prada are not friends outside of work. Sure. You know what I mean? So just like we were friends with any groups that may have been talked about as competition in the media, there was really no competition. We were all friends. You know, whether it was us in NSYNC or us in 98 Degrees or us in whoever, we're all friends, you know, but it's just how you're perceived in the public eye. So, you know, I'm not really that worried, to be honest with you. I think we just always focus, just like we did as a band, just focus on staying in your own lane. Don't try to be someone that you're not. Don't try to be, you know, Chanel right out the gate. That's not really doing it the right way, honestly.
That authenticity is so important, and you have such an established brand already. People know you. They feel like they're friends with you. They know, like, and trust you, which is huge when it comes to marketing. I have a question that's a little bit off the beaten path, but I'm sort of curious about this. If there was a fight between two boy bands, how would you settle it? Would it be a dance off, a sing off? Like, what would happen there? What would that look like?
I would say if we did a thumb war, that might be the best way to settle it, because any other groups, all these guys are really talented singers and they're all great dancers. So it would have to be something outside of that. So I think the ultimate thumb war would be the perfect way to decide who is the best band.
That's ironic. That's how Corey and I settle everything.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's great.
We've got one more question for you, AJ, that's kind of out of left field, but it's from a friend of ours.
Okay.
What is your favorite verb?
My favorite verb. So we know this is an action. So, wow, my favorite verb. Jeez. Laughter. Because, you know, if people were to laugh more, even in distress, I feel it's a great coping mechanism, you know, whether you're genuinely happy or maybe you're sad. If you find a way to laugh, like they have, you know, like the old saying, laughter is the best medicine. It really is. Being able to kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, you know, laughing is enjoyable. Laughing is infectious. Can't tell you how many times Josh and I would stay up late on the bus playing video games or just goofing off, and I mean uncontrollable laughter, uncontrollable, like it actually hurts. You know?
That's the best, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a great way to just approach life in general. It's that optimistic approach that there's always something good that you can get out of any situation, for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, people have asked me, you know, about quarantine and about the pandemic, and honestly, I've seen the silver lining in all of this, which is I'm not touring, I'm not traveling. I get to spend all this time, well, not right now, but all this time with my kids and my wife and my family, and really focus on my sobriety and just build a great foundation. So when we do go back on the road, whenever that is in the year 2030, me personally, I will have such a great foundation that it's just going to be as easy as falling off a log to just go back on the road and not have the stress that I used to have about whether I'm going to pick up a drink or not, you know?
Yeah, that really solid foundation. I do want to ask you, I know the answer to this, but many of our listeners may not, who regularly listen to our BizQuik podcast. So can you tell people how you came up with the name Ava Dean?
So we were going back and forth for the longest time. We knew that we wanted it to be based around my daughters. Unfortunately, the first incantation that we came up with was James Dean. My oldest daughter's middle name is James, which is also mine. So she's also AJ. And my youngest daughter's middle name is Dean. And then obviously, for obvious reasons, James Dean was not available to use, even though James was spelled differently. it would have been a major headache. So Josh actually came back with the suggestion of Ava Dean, and it looked great. It rolled off the tongue nicely, and it still gets both of my daughters' names in the name of the actual brand, so it is definitely named after my kids.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and that's great. I mean, especially as we were talking about leaving a legacy for your kids and all of that. I mean, it would have been awesome if my parents named something after me, but
there you see,
Yeah.
But so we're gonna have to start wrapping it up here in a minute. But before we do, I want to do a shameless plug for ourselves that we've got this business academy coming up on October 28th. It's all about building the foundation for a business and just helping you grow and set you up for success. And I just wanted to let everybody know that Ava Dean is going to be participating in that academy. So
nice.
We're looking forward to that. AJ or Josh, since we didn't even talk to Josh, but
Josh is sitting looking pretty, and we know, everyone knows how to find AJ on social media. Josh, you want to tell everyone how to find Ava Dean?
You can find Ava Dean on Instagram at Ava Dean Beauty. So it's a job, it's something that's in the works right now because we're trying to launching all this. So be a little patient for it. But very shortly we'll have something up. So just keep checking back. If you give us a follow right now, that'd be great. Otherwise, just be a little patient with us as we get some content up there on there.
Yep. And the website is coming soon as well. So be on the lookout for that. That'll be announced, I'm guessing, via your Instagram for Ava Dean and probably AJ and Josh's Instagram as well. So that'll be a big reveal. So Josh and AJ, thank you so much for joining us today. We really, really appreciate it. This was so great, and you were so generous with your time. And we know how busy you both are. So thank you for that. Thank you to our listeners for tuning in. And you can find all the information on Ava Dean in the show notes.
And you can connect with us on social media. We're on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And you can reach out to us and learn more about our business and the Academy at sbpace.com and bizquickpodcast.com.
While you're out there, make sure you subscribe to our podcast, give us a like and a review. We love feedback.
Yes, we do. And feel free to reach out to us about any topics you may want us to cover, or if you want to be a guest on the podcast. You got a hard act to follow there, but we'd be happy to have you. And we also wrote a book. It's called Seriously Now What? A Small Business Guide to Disaster Preparedness. It's available on Amazon, and you can find out more about that on our website as well.
I'm Julie.
And I'm Corey.
And this was BizQuik, helping small businesses across America.